Today's topic is interest rate derivatives. This is the biggest part of what I call the derivatives beast. The derivatives beast was created in my lifetime. It's not that old. And most of its growth has happened in only the last 15 years. And it has grown in size from something that is equivalent of this little guy here, which is a toy I got from an Easter egg. It's a little monster, but he's very small and has a little tongue. In 15 years it grew from that into this size creature, really big. See the difference? Small, big. It happens to be one of those things that shows very clearly how a hockey stick graph works. Hockey stick graphs are when something gets bigger and bigger in size every year at the same rate, year after year, and it goes like this. I'll show you. Here is a chalkboard showing time going this way as the bottom line and growth going this way. A hockey stick starts out really small down here, and then it grows gradually, and then suddenly it shoots up to infinity. Almost always, in fact, I don't know of any natural situation where this doesn't happen, it reaches a point of collapse. That usually is when it's more than doubled in size here, and it suddenly crashes downwards like this, usually catastrophically, sometimes all the way down to extinction. This is why a balance in nature is when a population grows, it goes like this and then continues onwards in this fashion because of predators, lack of food availability, and things like that. Natural forces go to work to achieve a balance. But when we're dealing with money, which is numbers like 0 and 1, you can go to infinity very easily because all you're doing is using numbers. This is the grave danger of any number system. It has no natural stops to it. Only if you put in something artificial will it cease shooting upwards. And that's what the Federal Reserve is supposed to do. Prevent things from shooting upwards all the time. But they failed in this. And the way we can see this very clearly is in the derivatives market. During the Civil War, President Lincoln launched paper money to pay for the war. He knew about inflation. He knew that money can go from $1 to $1 million by simply adding more zeros over time, and he knew that would cause the value of the currency to collapse. Everybody saw what happened during the American Revolution, so it was not a mystery to them. So, when he started issuing paper money, which is government IOUs, he also started the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC. This office has been in existence in America since 1864, all the way up until today. It still exists, but it no longer controls the currency. That was hijacked in 1914 by a bunch of bankers working with international financiers who started the Federal Reserve by spooking everybody into thinking that if only they had a flexible currency, they would never have a depression. This turned out to be an utter lie. The dollar had to be devalued in 1934 because of a Great Depression. Interest rates were dropped to near zero after the Federal Reserve fueled a huge stock market hockey stick where it went up and then crashed. The Federal Reserve was not disbanded after this, and the business handed back over to the OCC, which had never presided over a collapse of the currency. Instead, the Federal Reserve said, we won't do that again. We'll behave ourselves in the future. We'll be very careful to prevent bubbles. At the same time, the Federal Reserve said they would control prices. Well, that didn't happen, of course. we started having inflation because we had a war and because the government issued IOUs and the Federal Reserve did not control the currency at all. So we had Bretton Woods too after President Nixon cut the gold peg to the dollar in 1971. At that point, interest rates, which had tended to be pretty much the same for many, many years, bouncing up and down between 3% and 5% like this, took off like a rocket. Again, interest rates became a hockey stick. They went shooting up to almost 18%. The price of gold also shot up. Both collapsed. Then the Federal Reserve announced, "We fixed the problem. There'll be no more inflation." On the other hand, this was a lie. Certain things started to immediately begin to inflate right after the interest rates dropped dramatically. That is, the derivatives interest rate trading market opened up and they started doing business, and it started out really, really small, only $1 billion. Thanks to the invention of computers, though, they were able to track more and more money and place more and more bets and look into more and more deals and make them churn faster and faster as computer technology improved over time. This became the bubble. Now, we have to look at this very carefully to see how the bubble grew. For example, in 1995, the interest rate derivatives were only $11 trillion in size. This is the market, okay? In 2008, it was $170 trillion. This is not the global amount. This is the American amount. If we talk about the global amount, it shot up to $600 trillion, an immense sum. This is a bubble. Anyone looking at this can say, "Oh my God, this thing grew." It grew 15 times bigger in 13 years. Very few things do that. Your house, for example, did not rise in value 15 times over in 13 years, I'm pretty sure. It grew by 13 trillion a year, each year, every year during that 13-year period. The over-the-counter market is also a peculiar market in that it's not regulated. There are no legal standings for any of the deals there. This is all done over the counter, meaning I say, "I'm going to do this," and then you say, "Oh, sure, I'll take that as a deal. Oh, goody." And you shake hands or you exchange emails or something. Thanks to computers, these deals could then churn away. And so let's